Have you ever noticed that some Naruto opinions start huge arguments? Even though they really shouldn't. For a series as massive as Naruto, debates are normal. Fans argue about power scaling, character writing, and which moments were the best in the story. But sometimes the fandom argues about things that are actually pretty obvious once you look at the evidence. These are Naruto hot takes that honestly shouldn't even be controversial. Let's start with something most fans don't talk about enough. Konoha's political system is a disaster. The village is supposed to represent peace, stability, and leadership, but if you look closely, the system barely makes sense. The Hokage has almost absolute authority, yet the village elders constantly interfere with decisions. Secret organizations like Root operated in the shadows for years without oversight. Entire clans were monitored, manipulated, and sometimes even wiped out. The truth is, Konoha survived mostly because strong leaders stepped in at the right time, not because the political system was actually functional. And speaking of justice in the Naruto world, Sasuke and Orochimaru should realistically be behind bars. Yes, Sasuke was redeemed. Yes, Orochimaru eventually helped during the war. But if we look at their actions objectively, both characters committed crimes that would normally lead to lifelong imprisonment. Orochimaru conducted illegal experiments on countless people and destroyed villages. Sasuke joined a terrorist organization and attempted to assassinate world leaders. The story forgives them because of the larger threat they helped stop, but from a legal perspective, their freedom is honestly shocking. Another opinion that somehow still sparks arguments is Sakura surpassing Tsunade. By the end of the war, Sakura had mastered Tsunade's techniques, awakened the strength of 100 seal, and demonstrated medical ninjutsu that rivaled her teacher's abilities. The entire point of Tsunade training Sakura was to create someone who would eventually surpass her. That's how mentorship works in Naruto. Even if Sakura has critics, the narrative clearly pushes the idea that she eventually reached, and likely surpassed, Tsunade's level. Then there's something funny about the way jutsu are portrayed in the series. Katen jutsu, or fire-style techniques, almost never actually defeat anyone. Think about it. Throughout the entire series, fire jutsu are used constantly by powerful characters like the Uchiha clan. Huge fireballs, massive flames, destructive attacks. And yet, they almost never cause decisive damage to major characters. They look cool, they're visually impressive, but narratively they often exist just to push enemies back or create dramatic moments, which unintentionally makes one of the most iconic jutsu types feel strangely ineffective. Another interesting debate involves Sasuke and Itachi. Many fans argue that Sasuke eventually surpassed his brother, but if we look closely at the story, that doesn't fully happen until much later. During their final fight, Itachi was already dying, holding back, and intentionally guiding Sasuke toward victory. Even afterward, Sasuke spends years chasing the level of mastery and intelligence that Itachi had. It isn't really until Sasuke gains the Rasengan and reaches his peak power that the argument becomes completely clear. Until then, Itachi remained one step ahead. Now let's talk about Sage Mode. A lot of people assume Sage Mode has a strict ceiling, but in reality it functions more like a multiplier. Instead of giving a fixed amount of power, Sage Mode amplifies whatever strength the user already has. That means the stronger the ninja becomes, the more powerful Sage Mode becomes as well. Which explains why characters who master it can suddenly compete with enemies far beyond their normal level. Then there's something in Naruto that feels completely insane when you think about it from a real-world perspective. The Chunin exams. The exams are supposed to determine leadership and skill among young ninja. But the process literally throws children into deadly combat scenarios. Forest survival tests, lethal traps, full combat battles. teenagers are placed in situations where death is a real possibility, all in the name of evaluating their potential. It's exciting for viewers, but in reality, the system is unbelievably dangerous. On a more positive note, one thing Naruto deserves massive credit for is character development. Naruto Shippuden has some of the strongest character growth in anime. Characters like Naruto, Sasuke, Gaara, and even villains like Obito evolve dramatically over time. Their motivations change, their beliefs shift, and their relationships transform as the story progresses. By the end of the series, many characters are almost unrecognizable compared to where they started. Another interesting point involves Kakashi. Kakashi is honestly a terrible teacher, yet he somehow produced incredible students. When Team 7 first formed, Kakashi barely trained them directly. Naruto learned most of his techniques from other mentors. Sasuke sought power elsewhere. Sakura studied under Tsunade. Despite this, Team 7 ended up becoming one of the most powerful teams in shinobi history. Sometimes great students grow not because of perfect teaching, but because of their own determination. One of the most misunderstood parts of Naruto's character is forgiveness. Many people say Naruto forgave all his enemies, but that's not exactly true. Naruto didn't simply forgive hatred. He absorbed it, understood it, and carried it himself. When he faced villains like Pain or Obito, he didn't ignore their actions. Instead, he confronted the pain that created them and chose a different path. That's what made him different. Another debate fans love is Rasengan versus Chidori. While both techniques are iconic, Rasengan tends to be more versatile and destructive overall. It doesn't require the same level of speed or precision as Chidori, and it can evolve into countless variations, from giant Rasengan attacks to more advanced forms used later in the series. Chidori is extremely lethal, but Rasengan's adaptability often gives it the edge. Now let's address something big. Among the famous Big Three anime series, many fans argue that Naruto stands at the top. The emotional storytelling, the complex villains, the themes of loneliness, destiny, and perseverance. All of these elements helped Naruto resonate with audiences around the world. Whether someone agrees or not, it's easy to understand why so many people consider Naruto the strongest of the three. There's also a debate surrounding Hinata. Some people call her useless in a real fight, but that completely ignores the moments where she stepped up despite overwhelming odds. Hinata challenged Pain directly when almost no one else could move. She fought during the war and protected the people she cared about. Her strength was never about being the most destructive fighter. It was about courage. Another interesting comparison involves Naruto and Boruto. Just like Naruto eventually surpassed his father Minato, Boruto has already begun surpassing Naruto in certain areas. Different generation, different skill sets. Boruto grew up in a time with more knowledge, more technology, and more advanced training methods. The cycle of surpassing the previous generation is one of the central themes of the series. There's also a detail people often forget. Naruto and Gamakichi actually grew up and trained together for years. While Gamakichi often appears comedic, he played an important role in Naruto's development as a summoner and fighter. Their partnership represents one of the many unusual friendships that helped Naruto grow stronger. Then we have Rock Lee. In pure hand-to-hand combat, Rock Lee is an absolute monster. Without relying on ninjutsu or genjutsu, Lee trained his body to levels that rival some of the strongest fighters in the series. His speed, strength, and mastery of the 8 gates make him one of the most dangerous close-range combatants in anime. Against many characters from other series, Lee's raw physical ability alone would make him incredibly difficult to defeat. And finally, one of the most undeniable strengths of Naruto as a story. The side characters are incredibly lovable. Characters like Shikamaru, Might Guy, Gaara, Hinata, and so many others leave lasting impressions on fans. Even characters with limited screen time often feel memorable and important. That's one of the reasons the world of Naruto feels so alive. It isn't just the main characters that matter. The entire cast contributes to the emotional depth of the story. And maybe that's why Naruto continues to be debated, analyzed, and loved years after it ended. Because when a story creates characters people care about this much, the conversation never really stops. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it and subscribe for more Naruto discussions and anime deep dives. And let me know in the comments which Naruto hot take you actually agree with the most. I'll see you in the next one.